Let's talk about Miami. Once again, we're going to do Housewives in a hurry. Ryan, 20 seconds. Tell us who the Housewives are and what happened in this episode.
Okay. So I forget who it was, but someone blabbed about Adriana's cancer a whole bunch, and then Adriana went into a K-hole, and then there was an F cancer party, and then old Guerdy was mad at Larsa. Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, Larsa, right? Was blabbing.
Yeah, Larsa was blabbing about Guerdy's cancer, and Adriana goes into a K-hole. That pretty much sums up the episode, I would say.
Yeah, it was Guerdy's
cancer. Ryan, what highlights did you have from this episode?
K-hole, definitely. Seemed to be a big old commercial for ketamine. Except for the second half, which I wasn't aware that ketamine therapy could yield, kind of whatever broke her open there, bro and dad. And I also, because it probably goes through a pretty severe edit, I wonder, I don't know how long a K-hole lasts or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. This scene was amazing. I love that. So Real Housewives of Miami airs directly after Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And this week on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which we'll talk about in a bit, they start this, they have this THC edible dinner, and everyone is having between 0 and 3 micrograms of THC, a relatively small amount of THC in their food. And Adriana's like, that's cute. I'm going to go into a K-hole. I'm going to go take some ketamine.
Yeah.
Wow. Just an amazing contrast. But yeah, the fact that this seemed like it happened in another one of those strip malls that they seem to love on these shows, like the strip mall pseudo medical clinics where you just go in and it's we'll give you some. Yeah, we'll give you some ketamine.
The doctor and her hugged. I'm like, all right, there's nothing wrong with it. Compassionate care, but it's always a choice.
Yeah. I mean, a very emotional scene from Adriana, and it almost felt like sometimes we see in any form of narrative a scene where someone experiences a rebirth, and it's a new starting point for that character, and this really felt like that. It had the illusion of having some sort of breakthrough moment, and I mean, not to say that Adriana as a person had a breakthrough, or this is going to change her as a whole on a person outside of the show, but it seems in the narrative of this season that's what this episode is, or this scene is representing. So I'm very curious as to see what happens with her going forward this season. I feel like this is going to signify a change in her as a character. I'm hoping that this is a villain origin story, but either way, the way that this is framed and presented, it did feel like it was a significant moment, and love that it was from her tripping on ketamine. Just brilliant. Yeah. What other highlights did you have?
Well, I think the K-hole definitely stuck out. I think that, just the plot line about Guerdy's cancer in general. I like the over announcing by Larsa, and then I believe towards the end there was some weird speculation as to whether or not it was legit or something.
Yeah,
that's crazy, because I think that's pretty bold. The old cancer fake,
which has precedent in this
world. I hate to say
world.
that I didn't know people who've tried. No, I legit would hate to say I didn't feel like I knew people who have actually done it. There's one guy I know who got busted doing it. It's kind of insane, but That would be huge. That'd be huge for the season. Just
well, someone got busted on it doing it on Real Housewives of Orange County a few episodes,
man, and
or a few
everyone's selling
seasons ago.
jewelry. Like what?
It was
so
amazing. It was like that's one of the best seasons of Real Housewives for me, because we got Megan King Edmonds come on, and it was her rookie season, and she got presented as like the world's greatest detective who flushed out Vicky Gunvalson, an all-time great housewife, her partner at the time, Brooks, faking cancer, and it was brilliant. That is like the season I feel like got me hooked on Housewives.
That's substantial. Yeah, someone sleuthing someone's husband, wife.
And he was just like such a fantastic villain too, because he just like exuded this energy that was like ick. It was like a real slimy, snaky guy that like, but he was also like, he was charismatic in a way that like those types of people can be. And like, that's something that, you know, whether it like compels you to like a person or hate a person, that's still like a type of charisma that you, on shows like these, you have to acknowledge as being great for television. So yeah.
Well, I mean, those compulsive liars, like you won't hear of many compulsive liars that aren't charismatic, because that doesn't work. You know, you get into your test phase and you're like, oh, I'm unlikable. This is a failure to launch. But if you're slick and you can lie, then it becomes part of your personality, and it you know, breeds over years. It's insane growing up around compulsive liar or two. You know, we all know one.
Yeah,
it's so
totally
weird. So strange.
Yeah, but that is to say, like, Guerdy is definitely not faking this. Like, she has no motivation to do that, and like, it's clearly something that is like affecting her a ton, and that's also just like not her personality type, and there's like no basis for this.
No,
so
because
the fact
if you wanted to leverage it, then you share it around, but it wasn't Guerdy sharing it around. You know what I mean? Like, she's just trying to
Sandy, what were your highlights from Miami?
My main highlight was just that I'm loving Larsa as this villain, as we're discussing. So not only did she tell this cancer secret that she was specifically asked not to share, when Guerdy told her about cancer, she also had like the weirdest reaction, and she was like, well, how do you know? So she seems to have some sort of conception about cancer diagnosis that like it's not a thing, because she was like, how could you possibly know you have cancer? And then even in this episode, she said, who tests for cancer? I'm like, a lot of people test for cancer in various ways. That's a major thing. So she's having some troubles with the medical system and just how it works, and calling around, like throwing out this fake thing. Like, I'm super impressed and super excited. I've never liked Larsa that much. Like, she's not likable, but I'm liking this villain angle. And was she like this in the past? I feel like she was more just like kind of rude, but not particularly a villain, right?
Yeah, I don't think she was like had this level of villainy. And like you said, her kind of speculating about this being fake, it kind of speaks to her as being someone that would like consider faking cancer in order to get attention. Like, it really seems like she's like, oh, this is something that I would pull.
Better investigate. Yeah. I love it, because she's also not that, like, she doesn't seem too smart or like, I don't know, like too strategic. So it's kind of like a little bumbling, but like she's committing to it. So I don't know if you agree, Craig. I'm interested in your take on her, but I'm interested to see where it goes.
Well, I wonder if she saw that season you guys are detailing, right? And it was like, well, that's what's going on here.
Yeah, it could be. I think like Larsa is definitely not someone that is particularly strategic, at least in the sense that we see it with other housewives. Like, I don't think she's strategic in terms of how she plays the game on the show, like in terms of trying to do things in order to craft her narrative and like try to steer herself into certain archetypes that we get to see on screen. But I do think that she is strategic in other ways, especially like socially, just in terms of her overall position. I don't think she sees things in the like from a storytelling perspective, but I do think she is constantly trying to be a social climber. Like we saw that with like Ramona is someone who is similar to Larsa in that way, where very aware of I called Ramona aware. She's not aware of anything, but she like just very concerned about how she is going to like gain more prominence. Like this relationship between Larsa and Marcus Jordan feels so fake to me. Or it doesn't necessarily feel fake. I feel like they've done a pretty good job of seeming like there's some substance there. But it just like my gut says that this is bullshit. This is like just for the camera so that people will talk about it. Like that she is using the fact that she was married to Scottie Pippen and is now dating Michael Jordan's son as like something to get headlines talking about her.
I was going to ask about Pippen and so that's Michael Jordan's son.
Yeah.
Wow. That's infinitely interesting in its own regard. But yeah, the podcast thing, isn't it funny watching a fledgling podcast, knowing that only 1 in 5 of these things is going to see episode 8. You know what I mean? You guys have the grace of Craig J. Ward, experienced media producer of all types. He's done everything, folks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like we're exactly the most successful podcast in the world here, but we do it for the love, for the discussion. It's a labor of love. But yeah, this podcast between Larsa and Marcus, like no one is asking for this. I don't think people will listen to it, but like no one wants that. Even the iHeartRadio girl during that scene was like rolling her eyes at everything they did and like
separation anxiety. You're like, oh, like let's just open iTunes and type in separation anxiety and watch the wave crash in of that title.
Yeah, this girl was like doom scrolling while they were doing their promo shoot. It was so funny to see how disinterested she was.
Nothing like shooting video about your upcoming podcast. Hey, just kicking that peanut around a little bit before she goes to lunch.
Totally. Sandy, what other highlights did you have from Miami?
That was pretty much it. I'm gonna be honest, I watched it really late last night and I was but I did also just the podcast. It's like cringy and I want it to be real because I love when people are like embarrassingly in love, but I agree that it's hard to believe. But it's still embarrassing. So I appreciate it still. Either way, it's embarrassing. Yeah. So I love it. So just Larsa overall, she's going to get a high rating for me if we rate them.
Oh, great. Yeah, I think we covered a lot of what I wanted to talk about as well. I do want to talk about the scene that we got off the top with Marysol and Kiki, and how they're also like banged up from this like charity basketball event that we got last episode.
I feel like Kiki chose a nightie or whatever that was to look extra frail or so, like because like people are so clued into fashion. That thing was like definitely an 80-year-old like I have a walker, I'm at home look.
Yeah, right. It was like, speaking of Michael Jordan, they were like, this scene reminded me of like the Toon Squad at halftime in Space Jam, where you got like characters in like an iron lung and everyone is just like cartoonishly deflated and banged up. It was really great to see Marysol, like, who self-diagnosed herself into like wearing a sling that she put like Chanel pins on or something in order to bling up. Really, really fantastic. I loved that. I love that Kiki was like trying to like sell this injury as legitimate, being like, oh, maybe I gave Adriana a hard time last year about how she was reacting, because we got that flashback to Adriana in her wheelchair. Just like that was a winner of a scene for me. And no housewives involved, just friends of. So it was awesome that we got to see that. And Marysol had a bit where she was writing the word like flatulent on a whiteboard to like differentiate between flatulent and fraudulent. Fantastic all around. The other thing that stood out to me was the scene leading up to Adriana's K-hole, where Julia is like got phone calls to make to invite people to this party, and decides to call Marysol of all people while Adriana is in the car, like to invite her to this party in front of Adriana, where that is like such a fraught relationship. And Marysol is like seems very willing to come to this party until Julia's like, oh, by the way, it's at Adriana's place. And she's like, oh yeah, I've got a medical procedure tomorrow, so I can't, but I'll be there in spirit. And Adriana is like so pissed about this. Like, she's like, it is totally because of me. And absolutely it is because of her. And yeah, I thought that was just an amazing exchange.
And not only is it because of her, but Adriana, as of last episode, was barring Marysol and maybe someone else from her house. So I love how she's now like, oh, she won't come to my house. Like, I don't even know how Julia got her to agree to this, because after that basketball game, she was like, this person's not coming to my house and all that. So but we have amazing friends of in this series. And I honestly think some of them maybe should be swapped, like maybe all of them. Like, obviously, Adriana and Marysol have been full housewives in the past, and they bring more than like Lisa. I don't know, like this will shake out in our ratings perhaps, but I think they're really good. And Kiki's so cute. Like, she's just a nice comic relief. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's get into rating these housewives. I want to start with Guerdy. Ryan, what did you think about Guerdy?
Guerdy? I like Guerdy. Just like, yeah. So I'd say 8. Like, she's definitely could have flipped out more or whatever and made more of a thing about it, but she was kind of like medium raging. So you could tell it was pretty real. And I would say that's warranted.
Yeah, totally. Sandy?
Yeah, I'll give Guerdy a 7. She's always solid. I like her. And she's got a good storyline. Not a good storyline. Let's rephrase that, but a storyline that's bringing a lot.
A compelling one, yeah.
Yeah.
I also give her a 7. I feel like, she did give us an entertaining episode, but I feel like she left a little bit on the table. Like, she could have really exploded at this fuck cancer party, at the audacity of Larsa to be like accusing someone of faking cancer. Like, it was not the place to do it, but also it was exactly the place to do it. So, that's where I feel like she could have scored a little bit higher marks. But I don't know, does this party end? Like, is it to be continued? So
because we have to have the opera singing.
Bit of that. Oh, yeah, of course. How could I forget that? Speaking of opera, Sandy, what did you think of Julia?
Man, Julia's okay. I'll give her a 5. I don't know. That's all.
Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, I'll say I'll give her a 6 just because I don't know how you could have handled that phone call in the car, or she just seems like she's got a little bit of awkward in her all the time, Julia does. But I'll give her, she would be a 5, but I'll give her the extra point because I'm just realizing all the sports relationships in Miami that are happening now that you mentioned Pippen and Jordan, and I know that Julia is married to Martina Navratilova. So that's a pretty cool connection right there. So I don't know. She gets a bonus point from.
Yeah, I think I like a 6 for Julia as well, because The scene in the car was a standout for me. The fact that, she just unwaveringly went with Adriana to support her during her K-hole. We're gearing up for the opera, which is, what her tagline this season is all about. So, but yeah, still, it wasn't exactly fireworks. So 6. Sandy, what do you think about Lisa?
Lisa is a 2. I'm not that into her. Just don't feel like all she's giving is her new relationship, and it's kind of whatever, right? Nothing else.
Yeah. There was the only other thing was like she isn't showing up to this party because the police are at her. They showed up to her door or something like that.
Well, maybe next episode she'll get more then.
Yeah, I think a 2's fair. That's where I'm going with that as well. Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll bump it up to a 4 on my end, just because of the inherent intrigue I have at the cringe value of the podcast, where I'm just like,
that's Larsa.
Oh,
this is
Larsa,
Lisa we're talking about.
Sorry, I misheard.
Yeah.
Okay, and now I have to separate the two in my mind because I thought it was Lisa, but Larsa is Larsa Pippen, right? And it's Lisa.
Yeah.
So wait, what was Lisa doing?
So we didn't see much of her. She was on the boat, for the F1 party or whatever. She showed up with her husband. But that's about it. Then there's a little bit of talk at the end of the episode about whether or not she's going to show up to this party. And they phone her and she is not because the police just showed up.
Oh, okay. Then 10, unbelievable potential. We haven't seen it blossom at all. So I'm going to say, this is the part where the firework disappears in the night sky right before its colors light up the horizon.
Wow.
Okay, so let's talk Larsa. Do you want to stick with your 4 on Larsa?
No, now that bundling the cancer thing into the podcast thing, now we have a full. I'm going to give my first legit 10. I think. To Larsa. Okay. Cringe of podcast. We saw Lisa in Salt Lake City handle a friend's death with no aplomb. I don't ever know how to say that. And then we get the contrast of going even worse with it, blabbing someone's very intimate news and then questioning the veracity of the news that you blabbed, which is a mind-blowing turn. Yeah, so all over the map. And also your name makes me want delicious laksa, which is Southeast Asian deliciousness. Really good noodles and stuff. Yeah. So 10.
I'm gonna give Larsa. I'm gonna give her a 9 here. It's a little bit of a reluctant 9 because I gave Lisa Barlow a 9 for her. Oh no, I gave Lisa Barlow an 8. Okay, I'm not gonna rate Larsa higher than Lisa Barlow on this. I'm sorry. An 8 feels right. I feel like she gave us on par with what Lisa Barlow gave us on the Salt Lake City episode that we discussed. And that's where I'm at. How about you, Sandy?
I'm going to do a 10, which is I think what I gave Lisa Barlow. And I was very impressed with both.
Yeah. Awesome. Dr. Nicole, Ryan, what do you think?
I don't know. I might have missed some of the scenes with Nicole as well. Miami has a couple more cast members than Salt Lake City.
We also didn't get very much of her. I think we got just like a single scene where Nicole and Anthony are making pasta or something with Alexia and Todd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like a cooking lesson scene.
The thing about the apology thing there?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I remember that scene then, yeah.
But don't forget, we also saw her looking at her new walk-in closet at her future house. So exciting.
Oh, right. Yeah. Ryan, what was your number for Nicole?
I think 2, I guess. Not really, 2. Yeah.
Sandy?
2.
2. 2's across the board. It would be a 1 for me if it weren't for the fact that she's just like likable. I think that she's just kind of a likable person. So I'm reluctant to give her a 1. Alexia, I feel like Alexia is always like such a high octane housewife, but we didn't really get too much of her. I'm putting her at a 4, which is probably lower than I would rank her on almost any other episode that we've seen her on. Sandy, what do you think about Alexia?
Yeah, similar to you, but I'll give her a 5. But she's always fun. She gives color. So
yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, I remember Alexia from episodes I'd watched previously for the show. And yeah, like you guys say, I remember way more fireworks. So I guess just not an episode with her heavy in the mix. So I'll give it a 3.
All right. Okay, so we've got 3 friends of on Miami. Let's give them ratings because I feel like we saw more of them than we did like some full-fledged housewives this episode. So we'll start with Marysol. Sandy, what did you think of Marysol?
Marysol can have a 7. She was, like, as you said, that scene was great. I always like to keep up with her alcoholism, and she's fun and cute and etc. So
Ryan?
Yeah, I'll say a 7 as well. Yeah, she's didn't have much to do, but did fine with it. And yeah, that's obviously they were given the opener for a reason. It's funny that they're taking the lead.
Yeah, I am going to give her an 8 as well, just because like I love Marysol. I feel like any opportunity that she has for screen time, she makes the absolute most of it. She not only like can be this like very cartoonish housewife, like she seems almost like a caricature of a housewife. We got that in this scene, but also, you know, I feel like a lot of people who play up a more hammy type performance on these shows, they don't have the same amount of like tension, because that kind of diffuses the tension between them and other relationships that they have, because it's so like performative almost. But Marysol is like constantly has a very like tense relationship with a lot of people. So I think that she can affect scenes even when she is like not there. Like the ghost of Marysol is in the car with Julia and Adrian. Well, actually she was kind of in that scene since they were on the call, but like she impacts all of these relationships when she's not even there. So yeah, I feel like her presence is a big one, and I loved the scene at the beginning. So she gets an 8 for me. Let's talk about Adriana. Sandy, what do you think about her?
yeah, I'll give her an 8 because the ketamine thing was awesome, and I really like her overall. She brings a lot of drama, insane absurdity.
Yeah, totally. Ryan?
Yeah, I think that I'll give it a 9, just based on, you know, that was pretty intense watching her on ketamine. That was interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9.
Yeah, I'm gonna give her a 10. She went into a K-hole for us, so
Yeah.
that is giving. But also, she just has such an enormous impact on the show as a whole. Like, I feel like specifically with Marysol and Adriana, if they weren't there, this would be a completely different show. Like, they give more to this show than Nicole does, I think, like, or like even Julia does. I think that you know, Miami just wouldn't be Miami without them, and the fact that they aren't mojito holders, I think is what they hold in Miami, is baffling to me. I don't really get it. But yeah, 10 for Adriana. Also, she's enabling Julia's delusions of being able to sing opera. Like this is this is like brilliant work from her. So looking forward to see what the rebirth of Adriana is like.
So wait, Julia is going to be singing La Traviata or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, it is going to be terrible if all the like clips that we have got so far are any indication of her abilities. It is going to be.
I didn't understand that was the through line. I thought they might have done just like a fun let's all give it a shot kind of thing, and that was just the highlight.
We haven't really got any sort of idea about her like motivation on why opera specifically. Either.
Like if you can't nail she'll be coming around the mountain, don't go for the Marriage of Figaro. You know what I mean? Like totally. Maybe it's the quasi-European thing. It's a natural bridge to opera, just being European. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, we also have Kiki. I know that, Ryan, you've got a hard stop here right away, so we'll let you go right after that. Do you want to give your rating on Kiki?
Yeah, I'm going to give her a 7. The Walker drama going on. Not drama, I guess, self-imposed drama.
Yeah. Sandy?
Yeah, I'm going to give her a 7 too. Kiki's fun, as I said, and she's she tries really hard to be a full housewife. Like you can kind of always tell she's working for that, and it's very endearing, and the Walker was absolutely part of that.
Yeah, she is a definite grinder. I am going to give her a 6 still. I gave Guerdy a 7, which in retrospect is a little low, but I feel like 6 is about right for where Kiki is. Guerdy gave us a lot more drama, so I don't know why it feels like a 6. I don't know. I can't put Kiki and Guerdy in the same class because we really didn't get a lot of Kiki, but what she did give was pretty great. Julia's a 6, so Kiki seems about right with a 6 for me.